Today we're making this cottage pie, also known as shepherd's pie. This is the perfect Irish recipe for St. Patrick's Day, and you guys are gonna absolutely love this one. Hi, I'm Tara with Simply Made Eats, and welcome to my channel. Today we're making this delicious shepherd's pie recipe. This is an Irish classic, which is great for St. Patrick's Day. Basically, it is a meat layer with veggies and all kinds of flavor, and we're gonna top it with mashed potatoes. I mean, how much better could it possibly get? We're gonna get started with this recipe by just prepping some simple veggies. We're gonna be chopping up half of an onion. I like to use yellow onion for this recipe just because it's nice and mild. We're also gonna be peeling a carrot and chopping it up nice and fine. We've got 1 large clove of garlic, or you can use a couple cloves of garlic. We're also gonna cut up some parsley, and we wanna peel and chop about 5 to 6 Yukon Gold potatoes. I love Yukon Golds for this recipe because they're really nice and creamy, and they just make that top layer like so golden and perfect. The next thing we wanna do is bring a large pot of water to a boil. We're gonna add our potatoes in here so we can make mashed potatoes at the same time as our meat mixture. That way everything's oven ready at the same time. Once the water starts to boil, go ahead and add your potatoes in. Just make sure not to splash it all over like I did. Then into a Dutch oven over medium-low heat, we're gonna add in a tablespoon of butter and add in the onions and carrots with just a little bit of salt and some pepper. Then we're gonna cover this and just let those vegetables soften for a few minutes. Next, we're gonna add in our ground beef, and you wanna break this up with the wooden spoon and cook until it's no longer pink. Then you're gonna add our fresh minced garlic. We've got our spices of thyme and rosemary, Worcestershire sauce, and our Guinness. Next, we're gonna add in a couple tablespoons of flour. This is just gonna help thicken the mixture so it's not running it all in that base layer. Then we're gonna add in our peas and just cook this for a few more minutes, and that's all you need to do. Now that our filling's done, we're just gonna pop the lid right on, just so it stays warm. We wanna go ahead and turn the heat off completely. Then we're gonna preheat our oven to 350 degrees. At this point, or maybe a little bit before, our potatoes should be all done. You're looking for them to be fork tender and really just fall apart. Once they get to that point, go ahead and strain all the water out, and we're gonna get started on our mashed potatoes. Next, we're gonna get started with our mashed potato top layer, which is my favorite part. We've got our potatoes that we've boiled until they're nice and fork tender. Go ahead and dump those in. Next, we're gonna add in our sour cream. I like to use about a half a cup. If you guys love garlic, you can definitely add some more minced garlic into your mashed potatoes too. Then we've got a couple tablespoons of salted butter, about a half a teaspoon of salt, and a little bit more pepper. Last but not least, we have our milk. I like to just pour in about a quarter cup first, just to see what the consistency is gonna be like. It depends on, obviously, like some people's potatoes are gonna be bigger than other people's, and you don't want it too runny right from the beginning. Then you're just gonna go ahead and blend these up. And you can use a hand masher too. Don't feel like you have to use your stand mixer. You can also use a hand mixer, whatever's easiest. This consistency is looking really great. I've only used about a 1/3 cup of milk, but if you've used bigger potatoes, you might need the full half cup. I gotta get a sample of those mashed potatoes. It's like my weakness. So good. Carbs. Carbs are my weakness for sure. We're gonna grab our beef that we've made. We've also got our mashed potatoes, and then I've got some chopped parsley just for topping. I like to use it too because it's like green, so Irish. You know, all the things. We're gonna go ahead and pour our beef filling into our casserole dish. For this recipe, I like to use a little bit smaller than a 9x13. You can also use like an 8x8. I like it on the deeper side, and I feel like a 9x13 you can use, but it just makes it kind of skinny. So we're gonna use this size dish. And then you don't have to worry about like buttering your dish or anything because there's already a lot of fat content in this beef. So we're just gonna go ahead and pour it right into our dish, and then just use a spoon to just spread it out nice and flat. You You can see how it's like pretty thick like this. I like it like that. And then we're gonna add the mashed potatoes for even more thickness. Next, we're gonna add our mashed potatoes on. I like to just kind of dollop them over the top in like little spoonfuls. The tricky thing here is to not mix it with the meat. So if you just kind of plop it all over, then it makes it really easy to spread it after. Next, we're just gonna take our spoon and just smooth everything out. I know this recipe is like a little extra from what I usually share, but I feel like on St. Patrick's Day, I like to make something a little bit fun. My grandmother was Irish and she always made like a really big deal out of the holiday, and I like to try to carry on that tradition a little bit. It's fun. Once we get our potatoes on there nice and smooth, we're gonna go ahead and pop this in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. Everything is already cooked, so we're not really cooking anything. We just wanna brown those potatoes a little bit. Once it's baked for about 10 to 12 minutes, or 15 if you wanna go that long, I like to just pop it on to broil for a second, but just make sure that you don't leave because it will burn quick. So just make sure you're watching it. We want just like a little bit of like brown crispy on the top of the mashed potatoes. If you don't want that, you definitely don't have to broil it. It's totally optional. Once it's all done, you just wanna let it cool for about 10 to 15 minutes before serving. I already ate a whole piece, so I'm not gonna act like I didn't, but it's so good. That's it, we're all done with the shepherd's pie recipe. I hope you guys love this one and maybe you'll make it for St. Patrick's Day. Let me know in the comments if you do. Make sure to subscribe for new recipes every single week. I love sharing them with you. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.